Welcome to Well Within Reach. And today we have as our guest Miss Judy Kim Cage. And I'm just going to read this out. She is a stroke survivor, a writer, and advocate for those navigating the long road of recovery after a life changing medical event. Her book, I'm going to show you guys her book, and I have a better picture of it. Super Survivor. Okay. This book, young lady, is a masterpiece. I'm just telling you, I'm that's all I gotta say. So this will be you will be doing this again. We will be talking about this is not the end, trust me. So tell everybody who you are. I gave you a little introduction, but you can introduce yourself and then what inspired you to write your book, and then I have some stuff I want to ask too.
Absolutely. Well, hi everyone. I'm Judy. I had a massive stroke, a massive hemorrhagic stroke in January of 2019. I recovered, luckily, pretty quickly. With the major things came back quickly. Within the first a couple months I was walking and then was able to return to work. I was incredibly stubborn, which I think is part of why I was able to recover so quickly. And I was so insistent that I had to, get back to my life before this. And I had my rehab at McGee Rehabilitation Hospital. I am still involved with the hospital. I am in the peer mentor program, part of the support group. I'm attending, when I can. And I've met so many patients, so many of their caregivers. And, I realized I was kind of gatekeeping my own experience. I had kept it private, my stroke, my battles, all of it. I kept it very private because I didn't want to be judged, or I didn't want to, I have a very competitive corporate job. And I just didn't want to be like the low hanging fruit. It's like where my job, I can't make mistakes in my job. So, they'd say, oh, Judy had a stroke and therefore, she messed up this report. I never wanted that to happen. And in a way that was great. And another way, it kind of didn't help me out at all because, everyone expected, that I was fine, that it was, if they even knew it happened to begin with, they were like, wow, well, she seems perfectly fine. She, nothing's wrong with her. Like, hey, she can put on a suit and she's good to go. And I think that it was 5 years after the stroke that I decided to write the book, because I had actually blogged about the stroke and the recovery, and the frustrations about recovery, a few months in, and just to have a place to put it, because there really was none for me, not in the way that you would want. At 5 years, the survival rate for hemorrhagic stroke was 26.7%. And, I learned that studies are different, that it's not like they're saying, oh, you're only going to make it to 5 years, etc. Like, I only have a third of a chance to make it to 5 years, or else, if I make it 1 year or 2 years, does that mean my chance of making it to 5 goes down, or, what is it? And once I hit that 5-year mark, I was back to work full time. I was kicked off of long-term disability. Because I was working way too hard. And then I was promoted. And then I thought about my experience, and I thought about all of the people who are going through it now, or the people that I met through the peer mentor program. A lot of them had the same questions, when can I drive again? When can I go back to work? When can I, am I ever going to get feeling back in my hand? Am I ever going to walk? And I think that the stories that were out there, at least when I was recovering, they were very inspirational, but also very, maybe it was divine intervention that, thank the Lord, I'm healed, or not that there's anything wrong with that. But also just very, very, I am so grateful for all of the worlds. It's fantastic. But there was never a story where someone was straight out talking about their recovery, saying, I lost my bodily functions. I wet the bed. I lost my entire left side. I couldn't move. I couldn't sit up, without falling over. Those things. And I wanted to share that because, not because I want to tell people how bad strokes can get, which they can. Mm-hmm. They can, don't get me wrong. I am 7 years out, so I can have a sense of humor about it too, during recovery and then after. Mm-hmm. But I also wanted people to know that, this is reality. This is more of what it's like. And if you can give yourself a better chance of recovery, if you develop a particular mindset, or if you're stubborn as heck, like I was, but the things I've learned since, like, if you're kind to yourself, if you're patient, if you say, okay, well, if I tell my body, thank you for recovering, I love it, then, if you're kinder to yourself, then yeah, it will definitely go a long way, without you even realizing.
So one of the things that I really like about your book, number one, is I felt like I was right there with you. Like, you just tell it, you talk in such a way that we can feel like we can. I love to read writers who write like that. And there's many things, but two things I think that kind of really said wow to me. And when you talk about your husband, Rich, the first one was when he had to make that decision. When they first saw that CAT scan and they saw that you had this massive brain bleed, and it was these two, really life or death almost decisions that he had to make. And, I said to myself, wow, not only is she experiencing this, but he's right, your husband's right there with you. And then he's got to make this potentially life-saving, life-altering decision. So tell me a little bit about, because I'm sure you guys have talked about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one thing he had said to me after I was able to, process, speech and talking back and whatnot, he told me that he wondered whether we had had our last conversation. Wow. And that got me right here. That was, a harsh reality. And he had to think, or the thoughts across his mind were, she could be gone. She could be completely gone. Or she could just be here in body form only, and I would never interact with her again. Yeah. I'm really not sure how he did it. I don't think I am that lovable.
Mhm.
As a patient, I joke, as a patient, I mean, there are times when, when you get frustrated and you
Yeah.
can't find the words, or you're in pain and you
Mm.
have this, um, kind of like a shorter fuse. And
Yeah.
who do you take it out on but
Mhm.
the caretaker, right? Or the caregiver?
Yes.
It's not necessarily, the nurses come in and you're like, oh, thank you so much. I love you. And then to the husband, you're like, jerk. I
Yeah.
mean, unfortunately, that happens. And so we have to give the caregiver so much credit for,
Yes.
like for
Definitely.
being that, and we
Mhm.
didn't promise till death do us part and all better or worse, we
Yeah.
didn't say that in our vows, but
Yeah.
he kept up with that. I mean, what
Yeah.
better way to prove it that or to be
Yes.
tested that way? But what he did tell me was that um, his he treated the stroke and all the decisions like a business transaction.
Oh, wow.
He is just a very logical man, and he is so great. Like, I mean, we met at work. So he just said, okay, what do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? What do I have to do next?
Mhm.
I think he did have faith that things would work out, but
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Mhm.
I can't tell you that. Like,
Yeah.
if I had looking back at what he
Mhm.
had to face, I do not know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but he did, and we were stronger for it in a lot of ways.
Mhm. There's another passage I want to read from
Yeah.
your book. It's when you're getting transferred, you're going to McGee and you on that plane and it's small and you're kind of like, if I can kind of summarize, you kind of freaking out and you're like, oh, I don't want to go, whatever. And your husband's like, you're going. I'm not going to say
Oh,
Rich.
oh,
This is the part.
yes.
This is the part that got me. It
Mhm.
said, you say, Rich convinced the crew to allow me off the stretcher and he held me on the bench seat as we watched the sunset through the clouds, creating a rainbow of colors that shone through the window. So I said, oh my God, he took this situation that was like, unmanageable, like it was like everything was crashing down. And he held you and you watched. I mean, I was like, oh, he's husband of the year. I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, he gets to use the express lane to get into heaven.
Okay, now my last quote for you, but I love this book. I'm just telling you, I got stuff all over here. It's at the
Sure.
end. You said you're talking about regaining what you lost as best you can, and you say just because you haven't gotten something back within the first 6 months doesn't mean that you're never going to get it or that your healing stops at the 6 month mark. It doesn't. It will continue based on what you do, based on how you work, based on what techniques you use, what therapy you use, or what pattern you follow. I was like, put the mic down.
Yes.
I was like, put the
Oh
mic
my
down.
goodness. Yeah, you hear about
Mm,
the 6 month mark of neuroplasticity, and it's I assume it's true. The first 6 months you are the most plastic, right? But
right.
but it doesn't mean that you'll never get something back.
Yeah.
I have been getting things back that I didn't even realize that I never thought I would. And we talk about having bigger fish to fry at one point, and then you get like you get the big things down. You're walking again, you're chewing again, but um, we don't talk about like, oh, hey, do I get rid of this nerve pain? Does that tingle
Mm,
stay, or does it go
mm,
away? Or I was always a clumsy person, always, but now when I drop something, I catch it before it hits the ground. And I'm saying, how is this possible? My brain created these new neural pathways to adjust for my current situation or my environment. And like my vision, I had double vision at first, and then it went to like I had to wear prism stickers on my glasses, and then I had to get prisms put in my glasses, which made them like that big, that thick. And then it's like I look like a bug. and then, but eventually, I'm wearing contacts right now. I was able to get back to one set of sight because my brain said, okay, we're going to adjust now. We're going to take these two sets of vision and we're going to suppress them into one.
Right.
And if you think about the blood, basically seeping into your brain and frying your optic nerve and then like flooding it so that you think, oh, this is so damaged. You never think that you're going to get that back. Yeah. But my body adjusted and it created this ability to like heal itself and then present like, everything's okay.
Well, Judy, I'm going to say thank you for being with us today. And I'm definitely going to ask you to come back because I really want to get into some more things that are in this book. But I would recommend this book to not only people who are stroke survivors, but anybody who's in a chronic medical situation that almost seems hopeless and like you're not going to get out. Nothing's going to be better. But that's that process, that healing process, the way you have healed. And I think you've healed comprehensively, body, mind, and soul. You've healed in such a way that it's inspiring. Your healing journey is actually inspiring. And if other people could have a taste of that from reading your book, I think you've blessed so many people by telling your story. You've blessed me by reading it and feeling like, things can get better. So thank you. Thank you for putting this experience into words. I'm going to let you have the final say.
Oh, goodness. You got me all emotional.
Well, that's how I was feeling when I was reading this
book. I feel like the lucky one. I was asked, if I ever thought the stroke was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm like, I am not there yet, but I am grateful. I am so grateful for where I am. And I think I've tried to kind of make the best lemonade out of the lemons, right? But I might be stubborn and I attribute my success to that, but at the same time, I'm just glad I could put it into words so that other people could understand, because you'll hear so many times, unless you go through the stroke yourself, it's so difficult to understand what somebody else is going through. And I've talked to other stroke patients who said the same thing, like you've been able to express verbally what we've never been able to, which is great. But so with all that said, life is going to continue challenging you no matter what. You can either take lessons from what it tests you with, or you can choose to, unfortunately, kind of wallow. But having done a little bit of both, I say I'm just an example of someone who has made it to the other side. So if just keep your hopes up, and if I can do it, you can.
Well, thank you. Her book is Super Survivor: how denial, resistance, and persistence can lead to success and a better life after stroke. Thank you so much, Judy, for being with us.
Thank you, Neva.